Hi, my name is Alana Campbell. I have a master's in psychology looking at the impact of chronic stress on health. I specialized in mental health. I actually have my own experience with mental health and going through the system and trying to find solutions that worked for me. I've also taken a lot of parenting courses. I was blessed with a 6.5-year-old boy and a 3.5-year-old girl. And so they have put me through the ringer on learning how to parent in a very supportive way. And I run a business called You Have a Life Plan. And then there's a subdivision called Support Their Light, which is to support parents to understand their kids. And this video came to me in the middle of the night, so I just wanted to share it with you. And before I get into it, I want to say my intention is not to make anybody feel bad about the way they're parenting or what they think is right or anything like that. If at any time you feel bad watching this video, just turn it off. You can always come back to it when you feel like more internally prepared to watch what I'm trying to share with you. And if you never come back, that's okay. Maybe this isn't for you. But I just want to share, just showing you the concepts of how I work and how I see things, and maybe it resonates with you. So basically, when we are born, we are perfect. We have our own unique psychology, our own unique strengths, vulnerabilities, limits, development trajectory, needs, life purpose. Like, we're all on our own unique track, and that's where society has it wrong. They think that we're all supposed to develop at the same time, become the same kind of people, fit in the same boxes, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work without severely damaging our kids and ourselves. So when your child is born, you can actually look at their unique psychology, which is composed of many things. I look through four specific lenses. My daughter in the background. I look at human design, I look at their soul contract, I look at their astrology, I look at their gene keys. These, again, specifically show how are they affected by others, what are their unique vulnerabilities, what are they here to do, what are their strengths, how can you see what looks like a shadow in terms of the gift it's trying to become, when are they going to hit certain developmental trajectory milestones. Like, not everybody's going to hit certain maturity points at the same age, so that is kind of a misunderstanding of society. And really, this is to stop us from labeling children as disordered because they're not meeting expectation. And really, whose expectation? They've created this standard of who we're supposed to be, and most of us don't measure up. Some of us can kind of fake it a little bit, and some of us really can't. And unfortunately, what this does to us is parents start to try to make their kids fit into those boxes. So they start to sleep train them and force them to eat what everybody else eats because that's what they say. Keep showing them, what you eat, making them eat it. Eventually they'll love it. They force them to go into programs and stuff like this, and then they end up with somebody who's nicely fitting into a box, because when we're parents, unfortunately, this is who we become because society has created us to become like this. And when you're like this and you're trying to parent a child who is like this, it is very hard to control them, which is what we're told we're supposed to do. We're supposed to control our children. This cannot control this. So what we do is we cut our children down to size so that they can meet and follow expectations and do what we say we want them to do, go to school, blah, blah, blah. And then we start to add qualities to them. So we add, soccer and scouting, and these are all things I tried to add to my kids. So, we get out our tape and we go, okay, the perfect kid is going to have some sports and some socialization, and we're going to put in some dance and some language and some math, and we create these things out of our children, which is not what they originally were. And we go like this, and we're like, okay, there's my perfect child. It's got a little bit of everything. It's well-rounded, it's going to do well in the world. But we forgot that they used to be this. They used to be this perfect thing that they were trying to create. We've turned them into this. This is like a good scenario. This is a child who goes through this process fairly well. Unfortunately, this cutting of a child, cutting them down to size and then taping stuff onto them, often they don't react too well to it. So if a child ends up like this, kind of like taped together and, sort of okay, they probably have the traditional children illnesses like earaches, frequent colds, frequent flu, roseola, or whatever those, common children illnesses that we say, it's just they're socializing in school and they all get these illnesses. Well, all kids don't get these illnesses. My kids, they're still like this. They don't get sick. Because they are allowed to be themselves. When you're allowed to be yourself, your body is strong, your body can fight off illness. You are so much more resilient. These kids are like, they bounce. They're so resilient. So this is the child with traditional illnesses. Now, there are children where you try to do this and you try to take on, okay, I'm going to give you some soccer because I think soccer will be good for you. And they say, you put the soccer on, they say, absolutely no, I'm not doing soccer. I'm not going. I'm playing in the park. I'm not going. This was my son. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do it. And so some parents do, you sure as hell are going to do soccer because it's good for you. And they staple these things and they say, you're also going to go to school. You're going to pick up extra languages because it's good for you. You're going to do all these things because it's good for you. And as you staple these things onto your child and you force them, and some kids, when you try to cut them down too, they fold into themselves instead of allowing you to cut them. So it's still there, but this hurts. It hurts to be cut. It hurts to be stapled. It hurts to be folded into something. These are the children who show ADHD, conduct disorder, learning disabilities. They're just not functional, like anxiety, depression. And those things are actually beautiful signs to tell you that what you are doing to them is not working for them. They are not happy to go from this to this. And so you can actually look up, there's books that one of them is actually called Messages from the Body. There's also Divine Healing. There's also Intuition, where you can access what is going on with my child. Why is my child showing ADHD? Why are they showing autism? Why are they showing conduct disorders? Why are they showing anger? You can look into their soul contract and human design and gene keys and see, oh my God, my kid is looking for this. My kid is that sensitive to that kind of environment. My kid is whatever it might be. And the answer is unique for each child. So I can't just give you a blanket solution to every kind of disorder, which is what society tends to do. You know, you fall in this bucket and then this is what we do. It's not like that. It's looking at each unique individual and trying to find this again. And when we can find this, you know, they're probably in this kind of state. And we have to kind of work with the parents to go, you know what? Underneath there is this. And we're working towards this. And the thing is, when somebody is folded up and I give them, I don't have a pen here, but if I give them the definition of their child, often they have received the information, but that doesn't mean they've opened it. That doesn't mean they've aligned their child to their potential that they're going to work with every day. It takes, according to human design, 7 years to actually reopen this for an adult. For a child, probably less. But if you know the information you happen to have in your pocket, you don't do anything with it, it's still like this. And often what's written across here, if I had pen, would be ego. Ego that says, I already know my child. I already know everything. I already know I don't need to work with this, blah, blah, blah. You need to work with it. That doesn't mean you have to see me every single week for 3 years or 7 years. It means really work with the information and sit with it and consider it and apply it and try it and, you know, test and see what works and maybe come back every once in a while and go, okay, I have got it to this point and now I'm stuck. And I can remind you and go, you know, let's look at this again. And you're stuck here. And that's because let's relook at this and let's give you some strategies that's going to work now that you're moving along into further stages. And I find that what's most effective is to work with parents who are finding that this is not working for their child or this is not working for their child. And we can start to open up their concept of their child when they're still being parented. The other place that it tends to work pretty well is in the mid-20s. Hi, sweetie. In the mid-20s when they're like this and they're like, you know, my life is not what I thought it would be. You know, my parents created me into this. I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. And we can start opening up at 25. This is who you were meant to be. Your parents did the best you could, but this is who you're meant to be. This is your potential. And if they have it in them, it's not about whether I give the information in the best way. It's, are they willing to do the work to actually open up and actually stand up to their parents and go, you know what, this is me. And a lot of people are not willing to do that because it hurts. It hurts to know that this was you all along and your parents did this to you because they thought this was what was best. They were doing what they thought was best, but to make that jump and to say, you know what, this is me, that's how they're going to find happiness. That's how they're going to find fulfillment. Unfortunately, most people, they stay like this. And then they riff off all these things, and then they're like this, and then eventually, after they've been parenting their kids and creating that kind of thing, they like basically fall on their own sword, and they go through the rest of their life like this. And do you know where this person is headed? Illness. They're going to end up with whatever illness, and then they're going to have a choice. They're going to be like, I'm in pain, I have depression, I have chronic illness, I have whatever, and they can take medication to try and feel it a little bit less. That doesn't change the fact that they're still sitting on a pair of scissors or sword or whatever. It just allows them to continue life and go, okay, well, I'm just going to make it to retirement, and then I'm just going to make it to my death, and then that's it. When at any point in time you can go, yeah, I don't want to live like this. I'm pretty damaged, but I'm going to start unfolding who I am, and I'm going to start living up to my potential, because that is the only way that you can find health and fulfillment. And I am happy to work with anybody at any point along that trajectory. Like I said, I find it easiest to work with parents who are still parenting their kids, because we can prevent, this and this stapled thing that's fallen apart from happening. So that's the greatest point. The second greatest point I find is the mid-20s, when they still have it in them to open themselves up and fight and become their true self. And what's really beautiful is to work with a parent who has a new child. So if this is a parent and they have a new child, and instead of cutting this child down, they say, you know what, I'm going to open myself up a little bit, so that while I'm opened a little bit, I can keep my child whole. And eventually the parent can open fully. And then you have a parent and child who are both opened fully and living a fulfilling and lovely life. And this is not made up stuff. This is something that I'm actually living in my life with my children and my family. We're still in the process of unfolding and becoming our full selves, because we were cut down to size as kids too, and maybe we didn't have all the wonderful things that everybody does, but we had some of the things added to us. And so we're doing what we can for our children. And if this interests you at any stage in your life, whether you have kids, you don't have kids, you're 20, you're 50, it is harder, I will tell you. I find to work with people who are 50, closer to retirement. I only have 5 years left till I reach retirement, and they're so bought into the system, and they've gained so many things on their little, whatever, and they don't want to lose this to work on becoming this. And that's a personal choice. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying people are less likely to do it. Even at 25, I've spoken to clients where I can see their potential. I'm actually floored and amazed by the potential of these 20-somethings. And a lot of the time they're like, well, if I could just conform, I could just fit in with my friends. And a lot of them will do that. And they're trying to meet their parents' expectations still. And I'm 40 something and still trying to meet my parents' expectations sometimes. Not so much anymore. But anyways, that is me. That is what I do. I will put a link to my website at the bottom. You can always contact me for a free 15-minute consultation. There's no obligation. You're welcome to chat, see if this is right for you. If it's not, that's okay. I take no offense. It's just, I just want to share what I do, so that if it interests you, I'm happy to guide you and show you how amazing you really are. And maybe you can grow to this. And the reason why I have such a passion for this is because I know that this world can be such a better place, so much more enjoyable to be in, if we stop living like this, and we can just start all becoming our full selves and just loving life and living our lessons and learning and growing and giving to each other. And there's no competition. When we're all unique and we're all being ourselves, it's just, we're complementing each other. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so if this interests you, I invite you to reach out. My website is yourlifeplan.ca, and there's a book online section. You can book online, and I'll put the links below. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.